The interpretation of dreams is the royal road to a knowledge of the unconscious activities of the mind. Where it was, their ego shall be. Unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive, and will come forth later in uglier ways. One day, in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful. The mind is like an iceberg. It floats with 1/7 of its bulk above water. The ego is not master in its own house. Being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise. The voice of the intellect is a soft one, but it does not rest until it has gained a hearing. Most people do not really want freedom, because freedom involves responsibility, and most people are frightened of responsibility. A dream that is not interpreted is like a letter that is not read. Time spent with cats is never wasted. From era to era, one discovers the entire truth. The goal of all life is death. The narcissist despises himself, wants to die, and becomes a self-hater. Civilization began the first time an angry person cast a word instead of a rock. It is impossible to escape the impression that people commonly use false standards of measurement, that they seek power, success, and wealth for themselves, and admire them in others, and that they underestimate what is of true value in life. The mind is like money. The more you have, the more you want. Love and work. Work and love. That's all there is. Men are more moral than they think, and far more immoral than they can imagine. The doctor should be opaque to his patients and, like a mirror, should show them nothing but what is shown to him. Neurosis is the inability to tolerate ambiguity. The great question that has never been answered, and which I have not yet been able to answer, despite my 30 years of research into the feminine soul, is what does a woman want? Every way I go, I find a poet has been there before me. Religious doctrines are all illusions. They do not admit of proof, and no one can be compelled to consider them as true or to believe in them. The act of birth is the first experience of anxiety, and thus the source and prototype of the affect of anxiety. The more the fruits of knowledge become accessible to men, the more widespread is the decline of religious belief. No one who, like me, conjures up the most evil of those half-tamed demons that inhabit the human beast, and seeks to wrestle with them, can expect to come through the struggle unscathed. Illusions commend themselves to us because they save us pain, and allow us to enjoy pleasure instead. We must therefore accept it without complaint when they sometimes collide with a bit of reality against which they are dashed to pieces. Every normal person, in fact, is only normal on the average. His ego approximates to that of the psychotic in some part or other, and to a greater or lesser extent. If youth knew, if age could. The interpretation of dreams is the via regia to a knowledge of the unconscious element in our psychic life. Analogies decide nothing, that is true, but they can make one feel more at home. The first requisite of civilization is that of justice. Neurotics complain of their illness, but they make the most of it, and when it comes to taking it away from them, they will defend it like a lioness her young. Psychoanalysis is in essence secure through love. One is very crazy when in love. We are what we are because we have been what we have been. Religion is an illusion, and it derives its strength from the fact that it falls in with our instinctual desires. Whoever loves becomes humble. Those who love have, so to speak, pawned a part of their narcissism. I cannot think of any need in childhood as strong as the need for a father's protection. The behavior of a human being in sexual matters is often a prototype for the whole of his other modes of reaction in life. Neurosis is the result of a conflict between the ego and its id, whereas psychosis is the analogous outcome of a similar disturbance in the relation between the ego and the external world. When inspiration does not come to me, I go halfway to meet it.